I'm into this colorway. Good morning, YouTube. What's up, everybody? I hope you're safe and healthy and happy and doing okay. We took a week break, took a little hiatus, but we're back on the couch and we're in action now. In the last couple of weeks, I've had a lot of great shoes for the spring show up at my doorstep. And to be honest with you, I haven't gotten to try all of them yet, but there was one that I just could not wait to try, and that was the New Balance 1080 V12. I have reviewed other 1080s in the past, the 1 and the 2. For me, I really love the 1080 V10. It gave me that cushion that I needed in a relatively lightweight package with a cool, kind of like stretchy upper. But it still managed to be structured somewhat, but I think it kind of took a downhill turn, if that makes sense, for version 2, and I just thought that the upper was a little bit too sloppy. I couldn't get a good fit in it, and I kind of honestly stopped running in it. So when I got the 1080 V12, I was really excited to see the changes that they've made for the upper and kind of just like the whole aesthetic of the shoe. So I have a couple runs in this shoe now. I think I'm ready to give you my first run impressions, but of course, you know the drill. It's the shoe footage. In my soul, in my soul, in my soul, in my soul, I feel so alive. I feel so alive. I feel so alive. In my soul, in my soul, in my soul, in my soul, I feel so alive. I feel so alive. I feel so alive. In my soul, 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 I feel so alive. Alright, so before we get started today, I do want to let you know that this shoe was sent to me by New Balance and Running Warehouse. However, neither company is going to see this before you. They can't tell me what to say, and all of my opinions are always my own. Now, unfortunately, I don't have a spec sheet for this shoe just yet. But for my size, 10.5 women's, this shoe was 10.2 ounces. So it is a little bit of a big shoe, a little bit heavy, but I think for what this shoe is supposed to be doing for you, it's not really gonna matter too much. I also don't exactly know what the drop is on this shoe, but in the previous shoes, in the 1080 V10 and the V11, it was an 8mm drop. So I'm assuming that's the same here. It doesn't really look too much different. But if that does change, if I do learn something more from New Balance, I'll put something in the description of this video just so you can get that clarified. I would say that this shoe is just on the cusp of true to size for me. I do have a little extra room than what I like in the forefoot, but I have to say I am able to get a good lockdown, and I'm not swimming or kind of moving around too much in the shoe. It's just really more of a lengthwise type of thing, but certainly something that's doable. So if you like a little bit of more room in your shoes, you might really like this. Can I give it true to size? I'm on the fence. All right, so now let's talk about this upper. Like I said in the intro to the video, I like this colorway a lot. And if you had told me we're gonna put pink, purple, and kind of an orangey yellow in a shoe together for a woman, I would say, that's gonna look bad. But it doesn't look bad at all. It actually looks kind of good. But anyway, we have New Balance's Hypo Knit upper, and they've been using that at least from the 10. I know that the 10, the 11, and now the 12 have this as well. It is a very stretchy material. It is knit, so you have to keep that in mind, but it's not quite a booty construction. If we go to the midfoot of the shoe, it does have a little bit of structure to it, including that New Balance logo there in the middle. And most importantly, if we're going back to that heel, we're not gonna see that ultra heel cup anymore that we did see in the 10 and the 11. Here, we just have a standard heel counter. It is very sturdy, and I have to say, it does lock my heel in place. I kind of remember talking about this with some running pals, and we were saying how we wish that the 1080 just had a normal heel counter. Well, they put it on. Thank you, New Balance, for listening to your customers. The whole thing back here is just so much better. You have a normal heel counter, it's sturdy, it's not flimsy, and you have padding around the sides of the shoe, which I really like. Because as I've said many times recently, I think, I really don't like when uppers of shoes have these sharp edges and the padding is sort of inside the shoe. I think that can cause irritation, discomfort, and it's not my cup of tea. This is my cup of tea, and this upper also reminds me of the Vongo V5 that I tried earlier in the summer. It's very similar, stretchy forefoot and a nice solid sturdy back. Speaking of this hypo knit material, like I said, it is knit, it is stretchy, and it is also very breathable. I think that this is just the right amount of breathability. It's not super thin like some other knits might be. But what I really like about this knit is that it's kind of soft and it's not super harsh on your foot or anything like that. I don't think it is really constricting. I think sometimes knits have a tendency to be a little bit tight, but I think here it kind of fits just like a mesh would. The tongue to me looks pretty much identical to the past two versions. It is padded-ish. And it is gusseted, so you do get a nice fit across that midfoot and the top of your foot, which we do like. And yeah, I mean, I just think that this upper is a massive improvement over what we had for the past two versions. I mean, this is what I wanted originally. And with that said, I had no issues with hot spots, blisters, or irritation. And again, I thank New Balance and I commend them for listening to their runners and what the runners want. All right, so now let's move down to the midsole. Here, New Balance is using a nice, big, plushy, pillowy slab of Fresh Foam X. And they also do have some sort of rocker technology here. I don't know exactly what it's called, but I do feel it in my stride, and you can kind of see it in the curve upward in the forefoot. Over the years, I've definitely been a fan of Fresh Foam X, and it feels just as good here. I haven't noticed really much of a difference. It feels similar to the V10 and mostly the V11. If there's more of it here, I don't really sense that there is. I mean, there's plenty of cushioning, don't get me wrong, but I don't know that there is really any more of it. Perhaps it's a little bit bouncier and softer, but that could be because this is a newer shoe, obviously. But with that said, I love taking this shoe out for easy days, and that's kind of what I've loved taking it out for every time I've tested out a 1080, and the V12 is no different. If you're trying to just slog some miles, you don't care about pace, and you're just getting out there to enjoy running a concept, right? Then you're really gonna like this shoe, in my opinion. I have about 8 miles on this shoe, and it has obviously a ton more life left. But each time I've taken it out, I've just been going through the motions, and it feels nice on your feet. On what might be considered sometimes a mundane run where you're just kind of mindlessly running. I like that, not everybody does. But this shoe makes it a little bit more fun, gives it a little more spice, and your feet just feel like they're stepping on pillows. We love that. What I will say though is that if you're looking for a shoe with some energy and response, you're not really gonna get it here. This is not gonna be like a responsive shoe. It's not a bouncy shoe. Like I said, maybe this is a little bit more bouncy than the previous versions, but I don't know. It could just be because this shoe is just newer. But as I mentioned earlier, it does have a nice kind of like roll forward in that forefoot, and it does help to get you up on your toes a little bit and just roll you into your next stride. Speaking of strides, I did do like some little faster bursts here and there in this shoe. It's not made for that. It didn't feel spectacular, but that's not surprising. This is definitely one of the shoes that I'm most excited to be running in right now and to have. So I think that if you were a fan of the 1080, 10, and 11, you're definitely gonna wanna take a look at this. And I think it's also gonna bring new fans to the 1080 table. If we turn the shoe over, you'll see that New Balance is using some blown rubber in the forefoot here and some in the heel. And there are some flex grooves as well, just to keep the shoe a little bit more flexible. So far, so good. I haven't had any problems with the traction on this shoe. I think the 2 days I took it out were dry. It was today at least. And the pattern seems to be holding up fine. It looks like similar placement to what the V10 and V11 had, but the pattern might be slightly different on the lugs or pods, if you will. But yeah, I think it's not gonna give you any issues, and it's gonna last quite a while. The New Balance 1080 V12 is not yet available. I don't actually know the specifics. Oh my God, I can't say that word. Specifics of when it will be released and for how much exactly. I do think that this is a May release, and I think that they're going to launch it for like $159. So I can't link to any shoes today, but when they do become available, I will link them down below so you can pick up your own pair. Keep in mind that will be an affiliate link with Running Warehouse. However, it won't be much for you. It just helps out my channel so I can talk about really bright, colorful shoes all day. $159, call it $160, can seem a little bit expensive for a daily trainer, sure. But I think this is a shoe that's gonna last you a long time, can do lots of long mileage with you, and can kind of be old reliable for you. So I don't think the price is too ridiculous, although I would love to see just like a $150 price tag. I'll be honest, I didn't even take the V11 to 50 miles because I just didn't enjoy running in its upper, just kind of fell out of love with it. I love the V10 and I just fell out of love with the V11 because of that crazy upper. But I have to say I'm kind of falling back in love with the V12 because this upper just does the shoe so much better. So I'm really glad that they listened, like I've said 100 times, and improved that. I'll definitely be taking this shoe to 50 miles, just slogging around, putting it through the paces, and I'll have a more detailed review of how it held up for me during that time, so stay tuned and we'll get there. Well everyone, that concludes my first run impressions of the New Balance 1080 V12. If you enjoyed this video, please like it down below and subscribe, and when you're done with all that, hit the notifications bell so you can find out every time I upload a new video. I want to know from you guys what color you like better. Are you an orange and pink? Are you a Volt yellow kind of color, or are you understated and like a more neutral tone? I have another video for you next week, but in the meantime, get out there, get on the grind, and don't forget to run like Heller. See you next time. In my mind that somebody could take the 1080 to marathon distance and honestly above. I mean, it's that kind of shoe. It's supposed to be... No.